Hey guys, it's Alex. I'm here as promised with the second of my 5 book box hauls. This one is slightly larger than the first one, and I feel they will get progressively larger as they go along. Let's see if I can pick this up for y'all. Here we are, the very large box of books that I really didn't need to buy, and yet did anyway. The first book that was on top continues my Song of Ice and Fire series. It is A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin. I believe this is the second one. Potentially the fourth one. It is the fourth one. I've clearly never read these. I clearly don't even care that much about the show. But for whatever reason, I decided I will collect and read all of them. Which I figure is a solid plan because I don't know if I could keep these long enough from the library to read them. They're very large books. I also have A Game of Thrones, the first one. This was the first one I picked up, I believe. They're just nice little paperback copies, and they make me happy. Continuing the theme of fantasy, I have American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I've never seen the show, and I've never read much of Gaiman, and I've heard very mixed things about this book. It might be a bit of a difficult read for me, as a lot of Gaiman books are, but I'm looking forward to giving it a try. Homesick by Eshkol Nevo. I believe this is an Israeli author. This book is set in a village between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And that's really all I know because there's not much on the back. I don't have any expectations for this book. We shall see what I think of it eventually. Candide by Voltaire. I was supposed to read this for a class in college and never did, and stole my friend's copy and destroyed it and got her a new one and might have gotten myself a new one. I possibly already own this, but on the off chance that I didn't, I really wanted to own it, and I really want to read it because she speaks so highly of it, and I just didn't care enough in college. So hopefully now I can open my mind to some fine literature. Absalom, Absalom by William Faulkner. I have at least one Faulkner on my shelf already. I don't know which one it is. I haven't read anything of his, and I really want to. I really should. It's Faulkner. I feel like every English study person should read him at some point. I don't know what this is about. Hopefully it's good. I also picked up Fast Girls by Emily White. It's Teenage Tribes and the Myth of the Slut. It's a women's studies book. I think it's just about like the cultural phenomenon of what we consider to be the slut in a high school context. I don't really know. It might be awful and stupid, but I'm hoping it will have some interesting insights, because books like these often do. The Perfect Husband by Lisa Gardner. I haven't actually read this one. This is the only one I have in my possession that I have yet to read, so I will probably do that really soon. I've run out of books by her at my library. They don't have all of them. I've read every single one that they have, and every single one that I can get my hands on at a thrift store. And now there's just a few that are eluding me. I'm not sure which one this is about. I think this is about someone I haven't read about yet, because she has many different series. The Trial by Kafka. I have never read Kafka, as I mentioned in my last haul, but I should read Kafka, and I should own Kafka, and I want to be the person that reads and owns Kafka. So I've at least got half of it now. I own Kafka. Now we'll just get around to the reading part. I got 2 books in a series, Red and Black by Ted Dekker. I had a professor in college who spoke really highly of these books, and I always thought about reading them and never got around to it because my library did not have them at the time that I looked. And when I happened to see these, I was just excited and decided that I will read these. I think it's a quartet, and these are the first 2 books, so I'm just looking for books 3 and 4 now. I was really excited to find this book at the thrift store because I wanted to read it and I really wanted to own it. It's Someday, Someday Maybe by Lauren Graham. She was Lorelai on Gilmore Girls, and that does not necessarily translate to her being an amazing author. I want to support her. I love her. She was amazing as Lorelai. She was amazing in Parenthood, and hopefully this book will be just as amazing. The Last Summer of You and Me by Anne Brashares. I have the whole Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series. I have the first 4, and then I have the 5th adult book. And now I have The Last Summer of You and Me. And I've never read this, although I have read Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. And my friend has read this and loves it and loves Amber Shares, so I'm really hoping that I will love it as well. I also picked up Speak by Laurie House Anderson. This is such a pretty copy. I've read this book. I've loved this book. This book is amazing. It's one of my favorite young adult books of all time. If you've never read it, you definitely should. Although it is about a girl who was raped, so trigger warning for that. It's very hard to read. It can be very hard to read. There's also a movie based on it, which was also surprisingly good. It's one of the few movie adaptations I thought was almost as amazing as the book, and I would recommend watching that as well. The Aeneid by Virgil. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I should have looked it up, but I'm lazy. I don't really know what this is about other than this was a really pretty copy, and I know I should read Virgil. It's one of those, like, I should read it. I should have read it by now. I should have read more of the classics and philosophy and all that, but I haven't, so hopefully I can now start. Zorro by Isabel Allende. I saw the first half of this movie. I didn't actually realize this was a book until I saw it, but it's by Isabel Allende, who I always aspire to read and never have, apart from a short story or two. But hopefully this will be a really fun book. I didn't realize she wrote books quite like this. I also picked up I'd Know You Anywhere by Laura Lippman. It's about a woman who was kidnapped when she was a teenager, and now she's an adult with children of her own, and the man who kidnapped her when she was 15, I believe, 15 or 16, is on death row, and she's going to see him for one last time, and there are a lot of secrets in the past and about that kidnapping, I believe. It looks like a really interesting thriller. Hopefully it's good. I also picked up Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. I might own this book. I could not find it on my shelf, but even if I do, this edition is absolutely gorgeous. Like, it's got the beautiful cover and the design on the back and the spine, and the pages are gold, and it's got the ribbon in it that I love. It's just such a beautiful copy. Like, I was so excited to find this book, and it's so unbelievably gorgeous. Another Game of Thrones book to end the haul, or almost end the haul. There's one more book left. This is the fifth one, the second one. Oh, apparently I'm only missing one of them. I think I'm just missing the second one now. I didn't realize this was in this box, but this isn't the same edition as my other ones. It's a hardback, which is vaguely disappointing to me. I would really like for them to all match, but I also don't care enough about this series to try. And finally, the last book I hauled was The Haunted, or just Haunted, by Chuck Palahniuk. This has no dust jacket. I don't know what this is about. I've only ever read one of his books before. It was Survivor. I read it when I was in middle school, and shocker, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't understand it. I was very confused and traumatized after that book, and sort of gave him a wide berth. He's someone I think middle school is a little bit too young to read, even for someone as pretentious and annoying as me. I would like to give him another shot now that I'm older, and possibly could appreciate his books a little bit more. My roommate in college adored him, adored his books, so for her, I will give him a second chance. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books, if you're excited to read any of these books. I'm really looking forward to reading a lot of them. I think they sound amazing, obviously, or I wouldn't have picked them up, but there's just so many. I'm also afraid of Game of Thrones, but I have a good decade or so before I have to really focus on that, so this will just sit on my shelf being unread for all that time, because I'm not going to wait 10 years for the last book to come out. I have 3 more of these to do that are all slightly larger, slightly more books. They're also older ones. These are books, I think this haul was the one I did most recently because it was a mixture of books I got from this thrift store and Goodwill. But I'm hoping I will get through the other 3 sometime in the future. I'm very excited to get through these. Buying books is my greatest joy, but now I will have to read them and pretend that that is even better than buying them, because it can be. It's just not quite as exciting. you don't quite get the adrenaline high from reading a book that you do from buying new ones, and especially a giant box of new ones. Bye, guys!